Do 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 do. See if I do this right. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Gonna invite some people here. Don't have anything big to talk about, people, but just got done showering. So, since I've got the casino internet to use while I'm here, I figured chat with everybody and see if anyone has any questions. Or a lot of times people have information that is helpful to give to me. So just checking in with you guys, seeing how you guys are doing. And I think that's about. I can just go on and on. That's enough for invites. All right. Yeah, I should have pretty good connection here because I'm robbing the casino's internet since I'm up here. Hey, Deanna, Tina, Adele, and Daphne, and Kath, Lori, Denny, Corey. Oh, my cousin Corey. Corey's on here. Elliot, old friend of mine, Elliot. Hey, Elliot, how are you doing? It's good to see you. I haven't seen Elliot in a while. Elliot's an old friend of mine from years ago. Daphne's asking how's my truck. Truck's still running. You know, I one thing about that truck was my pride and joy, and I took care of that truck religiously. As far as maintenance, repairs, I had that truck for years, and I never ever abused it. Never used it for anything near as what I've ended up having to use it up here for. So mechanically, that truck's pretty strong and pretty solid, but the body is really taking a beating. The suspension's tweaked because there's some kind of a bend in it. Something tweaked it there. That happened a while ago. That was back before the snow hit, from when we would go flying off-road a lot. And actually, I had hit a sinkhole. I don't remember when that was. I think that was... Well, I remember it was still warm out, and it was nice. There was no snow. And there was an emergency going on. We were off-site, and we were rushing up. I was actually rushing up to... So now I'm going back in time, and etiquette back in time was... We never really talked about this type of stuff, but things seem to have changed, so we've been talking about stuff more. Anyways, I was rushing off the road, and really tall grass. You couldn't see anything, and we had hit a few logs, but then there was a sinkhole, and the truck ended up plowing through a sinkhole, and that did something to the front suspension. Doors tweaked. When you shut the door, it'll shut, but the wind comes through the door. But I mean, other than that, the truck's strong. The truck has a very strong spirit. Terry Boozhoo? What? I don't know what that is. What is Boozhoo from Bemidji? Kath, how's the big guy? I think you're talking about Rattler. He's dead tired, exhausted, but got a shower tonight with the rest of us, and he passed out dead asleep. We had to almost carry him back out to his truck because he was so tired and exhausted. It was actually almost funny. I really wish I had that life fed, because we were shaking him, trying to get him to wake up, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he like jumps up and he's flying around. He's like looking around, stumbling around, and he has this look in his face like he has no idea where he is or what's going on or anything, and I swear he's still asleep. But yeah, that man's dead tired. I think he needs to sleep for a week. Denny, you are important to us, Mike. Thank you. Appreciate that, Denny. Charmaine, hello, Mike. Hello, Charmaine. How you doing? Here we go. Adele, is there an update on what happened with Tito? Oh, shoot. Well, I wasn't there when that happened. Quite honestly, at the moment, I learned about it the same way everybody else did. Rattler was doing a live feed, and I started watching it, and then I noticed this girl was just swearing up a storm, and at that time, I kind of thought, well, why I wouldn't want to really live feed whoever she was, and it was hard to understand what she was even saying because every other word was a swear word, and honestly, I was really confused at that moment. And then he walks over and opens the door, or someone opens the door, and there's Tito. And then I was even more confused. So, as far as what's going on with that or what they're doing, I wasn't there. Honestly, I'm kind of glad I wasn't there. I guess I don't really want to comment on that right now because I don't personally have all the information, and speeding out information when you don't have all the information tends to cause problems. So I think I'm going to avoid that one for right now. So I don't know what's going on with him. I was shocked to see that whole live feed, though. I think I'm kind of bothered by it because I think it gave a very wrong impression of the whole entire camp. When you come up here to the camp, that was not a representation of what we see. I do know it was New Year's Eve last night, so there was a lot of people that were off grounds, celebrating, coming back, and again, that's one of the problems with alcohol. If you consume too much alcohol, it changes your mind and it makes you into a different person and makes you do and say things that's not you. My mother had actually commented towards the end of that live feed, and I think it's been deleted already. The whole live feed, I think, has been deleted, but I wish I would have saved my mother's comments in it because she worded it really, really well. She worded about how that was, the alcoholism and stuff like that, and abuse is, that's been a generational problem within our people, and that it started from colonization. Excuse my pronunciation, but it started with that, and that's been carried on from generations and generations, and that's something that we deal with. But it's something that we've all had to deal with at some parts of our lives, and that's part of the things that we need to find about ourselves, and we need to acknowledge, and we need to find a way to heal that so that we don't continue to pass that on to the next generation. It's not one of our prouder moments of being Native American, but as people that have barely survived through genocide, we were a broken people for a long time. We were really hurt, and with everything taken away from us and everything sacred being destroyed around us, and that loss of the spirituality of our culture, and the loss of our ceremonies and our teachings being freely taught down from generations, that was one of the results that it happened in, is it nearly destroyed us that way, and live feeding it, showing it out to the world, it was probably not the best call. But then again, what I can say is that when you start doing a live feed, it is live, so you don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 seconds or 30 seconds. So kind of to Rattler's defense, you know, you have to realize that he's not aware what the next minute or next 30 seconds of the future is going to be any more than the rest of us. So I'm sure if he was able to go back in time and know how that all played out right there, that he probably would have chose not to live feed that. Anyways, I'm going on too long about this one, so let me move on. Charmaine, Sarah, you were promised a truck, and that person didn't make good on his promise. Yeah, that spoke to Chase a couple of times. I had spoken to him in a meeting, in a community meeting in front of all the people. I still don't. I'm still trying to understand Chase, to be honest with you. I'm still trying to understand you. I'm still trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. There's some things about Chase that still makes me think that he's trying, that he's. I guess I apologize. I don't know how to put it into words. Let's just say it this way. I'm still having hopes for him. I haven't given up hope on him. He's got a young crew of kids that he's brought in that he's using to kind of become their own security, and that's not looking good because these kids, they're not experienced, they're not aware. They do seem very disrespectful, so it's not looking good. But as far as this talks I've had with Chase, I still think he's trying. I just don't know. I don't know if I know everything. And I'm saying this even despite very strong disappointment, which was in our meetings he had told us that he was going to supply us with several of these donated trucks and snowmobiles that we really could use up here. When they showed up, then it changed from, well, he doesn't know where.
Attention casino guests, it is now last call for alcohol. We ask that alcohol be off the gaming floor by 1 a.m. Once again, it is last
We're being
call
interrupted
for alcohol.
Here. Anyways, let me start over. My last conversation with him, he himself and these young, kind of misguided boys were driving these donated trucks around, and they've got snowmobiles and everything else. And I asked him about them, where these trucks and these snowmobiles come from. Are these the donated ones? And he said, yes, they are. And so then I said, okay, great, wonderful. When does the security team get ours? And then he backed up and he said, well, these are meant for supply. And I thought, okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but okay. Again, when does security get ours? And he says, well, I don't know who exactly promised security any vehicles. I'm not aware of that. So then at that point in time, I just kind of stopped, and I realized that he's backpedaling here. Something's not right again. So basically, security's not getting any vehicles. We're not getting any snowmobiles. We're on our own. That's basically what it comes down to. We're on our own. We don't have. We're not going to get the help or support from the tribe. We're not going to get help or support from Chase, honestly, in these matters. So no, at least the question's out there where we don't have to worry about where the stuff is and how come we're not getting it. We at least now we're at the point where everything's pretty much out in the open. We're basically we're not getting nothing. But we're towards the end of the fight anyways, so it's. We made it through with what we had, so we'll be okay. We'll be all right. I'm gonna move on from that. Actually, oh, geez, I am way far behind. Let me. I'm gonna skip over. So I apologize if I'm skipping over people's stuff, but I'm gonna try to catch up so I'm more current, along with where everybody else is. Dell, I will pray for you that the needed vehicles arrive soon throughout whatever means. You know, appreciate that. We already know, though, like I said, that we need to make do with what we have, and we've been doing it. Cat says call him out on it. I did. We did. We got our answer, basically denial. Basically, we were told that nobody's aware of anybody actually making any donations for vehicles for the camp security to use to protect the camp. Adele, they are starting to link addiction to loss of connection with the historic and current atrocities towards indigenous people. It is understandable that the connection gets lost. You all have my greatest respects. Thank you, Adele. Kelly's laughing about last call. Yeah, I'm up here. I took a shower with a whole group of people. I'm not drinking. I'm not at the bar. Sharon says, I love Chase Iron Eyes. He's a good man. I trust him. I hope you're right, Sharon. And like I said before, there is something about him where I'm not giving up hope. I've given up that any of the donated vehicles that were meant for security is ever going to reach us, and I've given up hope that we're going to get any of the help with any of the funding that people have donated for us. And this seems really weird to say, but I'm not going to dismiss Sharon's comments right now, because speaking with him, either he is really, really good at fooling people, and if he is, then he's got me fooled too, or I do believe he's trying. Strange to say, I know. It's really strange in my position right now. It's really strange to say that, but there's something in my gut that tells me that he's trying. For whatever that's worth, I don't know. Rhonda, thank you for your blatant honesty. He needs to help the original security. That I agree with. It doesn't work bringing people in here that don't know anything what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they think they're going to take over security, and they don't know the people. They don't know what's going on. And then here's, you want the blunt, honest truth. Here's a really stupid thing. The most important security that takes place at these camps actually takes place off the camp. The most important security is the perimeter that protects the camp from outside of it. And these new junior security people that coming in, they think that coming in and policing the people is being security. And they complain that they think that the Kichita is not doing their jobs, this and that, this and that. Well, you know the honest truth. I didn't come up here to police our people. I'll assist our people. I'll help our people. I try to help solve problems that our people have. I'll do that. But I came up here to protect them. I came up here to guard that outside perimeter, to make sure that our people are safe inside is what I did. I came up here because they were being threatened by a criminal DAPL, and then they're being backed by the sheriff departments up here. That's the danger and the threat that I came up here to protect them about. I didn't come up here to play policeman towards our own people. So if that's what they think they're all going to come up here and do special, frickin' have at it. Go for it. Go play Mr. Policeman. That's not what I'm up here for. And the thing is that they have no idea, no clue what happens outside that fence. And quite honestly, I don't think they would even know what to do if they got caught in a situation off camp, directly with the sheriffs or directly with DAPL. They wouldn't have any idea what to do. None. They have no clue what they're doing out there. And it's a good thing, because maybe it's best that we let them run around inside camp thinking they're playing Mr. Policeman, because then it kind of lets us do the job that we're supposed to be doing outside that perimeter, keeping everybody safe. And that's the blunt, honest truth. It's probably not something that normally I would have shared with people, but watching what's going on up here, it seems like times are changing, so hell with it. Julia, that's the BIA, isn't it? I'm not sure where I mean, I need to back up here. I'm not sure what you're talking about. The BIA, we don't have issues with up here. The BIA stays away from us. They don't really have any jurisdiction over us either. And honestly, I've sat and I've spoken to several BIA officers. There's several of them that are actually pretty cool, and you know, they've straight up, I'm not going to name them, but they've straight up told us, you know, that what we're doing is the right thing, and they've been pretty helpful. There was one idiot, and I don't know if you guys were around for that, but one idiot, when I had my warrants, pulled me over thinking he's Mr. Hotshot, that he's got, you know, he's got Mater, he's got warrants, he's going to pull me over even though he has no jurisdiction to do anything about me. And I even pulled over and I live fed that one, and I even said right there, I thought, this is really strange and unusual, but there's nothing to panic about, people. It's just BIA, and I have no idea, you know, I have no idea what he wants. And he came up to my window just to say, well, the reason why I pulled you over is you have warrants. I can't arrest you, but you should turn yourself in. And I thought, okay, well, thank you for the advice. You know, let me deal with this stuff. You know, we know what we're doing up here. Let me deal with it. So I'm gonna move on here. Danny says she remembers that video. Yeah, let me go back. Okay, I'm getting a little bit better with the comment stuff, but I'm still not as good at this as everybody else is. So I'm kind of like having to fast forward and then go back. So I know I've missed a lot of people's stuff. I'm just going to start over. So I'm just going to start from here on and catch up. So Sharon says, thank you, Mike, for your updates. Sending love and prayers from Oklahoma. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. Julie's for refreshing that they're being cool. I saw that live feed. Kelly, I'm doing great. You guys give me a lot of nice words, and I really appreciate it. But you know, really, I'm just another one of the people up here, to be honest with you. There's nothing really special about me that's any different than any of the other original water protectors. I know there's a lot of people in camp right now that, quite honestly, I can't call them water protectors. They're just kind of more campers, kind of like tourist visitors, people that came up here. You know, they came up here for positive reasons, but it's kind of more their own personal positive reasons. You know, like the people that bring the crystals and they want to go pray and meditate with these crystals from California, and I don't know, all this other stuff. And I'm not trying to be derogatory towards that, but they're bringing a lot of different groups, and people have brought a lot of different types of energy up here, and it has changed things. Let me see here. The Eminem Team Rock. Thanks, Kathy. Even though I had to freaking scold somebody today, but oh well. Actually, we both got scolded by my mother. That's not a good thing. Let me back up. Humility is a gift. You do it well. Thank you, Kelly. Kath, you're from Australia. Oh my gosh, it's a long ways away. There's Jana. We just found out today our huge camper was stolen home. We've been winterizing and getting it good for weeks. Everything was in it gone. We just found out today our huge camper was stolen home. So back at home, someone took your camper? Is that what you're saying? That's really frustrating, you know, when you have something and all of a sudden you find out somebody else took it and they just stole it, and it's, you know, being a thief and thieving things. The best thing I can say is that you you know, I remember the medicine wheel teachings and stuff like that, and that's what I've always been learning. I've been learning so much up here. You know, the medicine wheel, part of that teaching is that, you know, everything starts with us, and what we put out into that world, it travels a natural course along that medicine wheel, and it goes through different stages as it travels through that circle, and there's a certain point where what we've put out comes back to us, and there's no way to stop that or change that or avoid that. And so when people do things like that, like steal from us and things like that, I think about that medicine wheel, and I know that the people that are doing that, you know, that's something that they've done, and it's going to travel that wheel, and then it's going to come back at them, and there's no way that they're going to be able to avoid it. It's the same thing that I think about with these sheriffs, the ones that are up there that are enjoying hurting people and that are altering their non-lethal ammunitions or whatever you call it, things that they're using. We found evidence of them altering them so that they actually do become lethal, or they actually do become very damaging to people. You know, and that takes an act of hatred to do that. You know, to take those concussion grenades and you wrap them with duct tape around the center of them so that they don't blow right. You know, so that when they blow, there's an amount of force that's held within it, and it actually causes it to act more as a grenade, you know, than a concussion device. You know, it's just pure hatred. And people that are on our police force in this country, they have no business. They have no business, unfortunately. You know, that is the truth. I know a lot of people have an opposite opinion about that, but that is the truth. That we have a huge problem in our police forces across this nation that is full of people that have no business. They have no business at all wearing that badge. You know, when they took that oath to be sworn in as a police officer, you know, they're disrespecting that very oath, the very oath that they took to the American people. They're disrespecting that very oath that they took. You know, so a man or a woman that has no regards for the very oath that they took, you know, they're only becoming an officer because they have a certain amount of hatred towards people. I don't believe they have any business doing that job. And that's my belief. That's been my belief for years, actually. Oh, you guys are getting way ahead of me again. Let's scoot up here. Tammy says police need regular psych evals. They need more monitoring. Yes, they do, and they also need to be held accountable for their actions. The ones that are good and that actually do something, they need to be honored and rewarded, and the ones that are bad, they need to be held accountable, you know, immediately. I totally agree with that. Kath, unfortunately, that's why some people around the world become police officers. There's sadistic. Yeah, that's very true. A lot of people that are mentally not stable, they actually seek out, and they do. And unfortunately, it doesn't take anything to become a police officer. It doesn't take anything. You know, yeah. 2 years after college, go through a police academy. If your record's, you know, clean, and that's it. That's all it takes. And hey, you're good to go. You can wear a gun, and you can have a lot of power over people, and be trusted with a lot of people. It really should take a lot more than just simply that to become a police officer. It's amazing how little it takes to become a police officer. It blows my mind, the power they have and how little qualifications that it actually takes. What did I do before this? Before this, I had a very good life. I was very happy. I lived a very simple life. I had raised my kids. I raised my 3 youngest children for 13 years without their mother. It wasn't easy to do because I didn't always know how to be a good dad, and I made a lot of mistakes. I felt that providing for them and being a good father meant, working 12, 14 hours a day and then buying them whatever they want and whatever they need, and that I felt like the harder I worked, that was what made me a good dad. And as time went by, I realized that I should have probably spent more time with them. I should have worked less and spent more actual personal time with them. But I didn't know. I didn't know any better. I thought I was doing the right thing. I did the best that I could. I don't really have an education. I don't have any training in anything. I've pretty much worked for myself for over the past, how old am I now? Over the past 18 years, I've worked for myself. And at home, I bought a truck, which is the War Pony. It had 25,000 miles on it, and it was only 1 year old. And I was able to finance it, and I didn't think I'd be able to get it because I'd never tried financing anything that big. And somehow I got it. And then I used a car trailer, and I would go out and I ran ads, buying junk cars. And I would go buy a junk car, and then I would scrap it out for the metals and turn the metals in. And I would do that all day and night. And I did that for years until I had, made enough after taking care of my kids and everybody to where I could actually sell the trailer and then convert the truck into a tow truck and do other modifications to this truck. That truck is originally built, the War Pony is originally built as a scrap hauler. It's a very heavy-duty scrapper's truck is what that thing's built for. And that's what all the modifications that were done to it were done. And I took care of that truck. I fixed everything perfectly. I changed the oil religiously. Because there was no way for me to replace it if I ever lost it. So I always took care of that truck. And for years, that's what I've done. I'm just simply a scrap hauler. That's all I am. I'm a guy that buys junk cars and hauls them into the scrapyard. So that's the truth. It's nothing glamorous. I wish I could say that I was this, I was that, or I'm not. Just at home, I'm just a scrap hauler. Let's see. But I was a happy scrap hauler because I had my truck. I had raised my kids to the point where they all became adults and they all moved out and they all started to move on, having their own lives. And I finally was able to find just a small, cheap little efficiency, and I had my truck. I had my own little place, and I could wake up, go to work, haul cars in all day and night, come home, take a shower, eat French toast because that's kind of the only thing I know how to make, watch TV, listen to music on YouTube, go to sleep and start my day over, and I was happy. I loved it. I worked for years dreaming of the day that I could just work and rest, without having, and live simple, without having all these big bills and having to pay for the kids and this and that and everything else, which was really hard to do. It was hard to do for me. So I was happy before this came. When this came, the call for help came, and I answered it. And when I answered it, it changed my life. Everything I had worked for, everything I had worked for is gone. But you know, I still love it here. I still love the people here. I still love, you know, what I've gained. What I've gained in spirit, and what I've gained in my own heart, is something that nobody will ever be able to take away from me. I may go to jail, I may lose everything, but I'll always have that. I'll always have that. And I know when the day comes for when I cross that river and my ancestors meet me on the other side, I know that they will accept me. And I know that the mistakes I've made in my life, which I've made a lot, I know that they were for the reasons of being here, because the mistakes that I made in my life, it made me understand the difference between right and wrong. It made me understand the value of human life. It made me understand the importance of our teachings. I never would have understood those if it wasn't for the mistakes that I made, if it wasn't for the learning lessons that I had to go through. So I believe that when I cross that river, that they will accept me. And I'll have my place. And what's on the other side of that river is forever. It's forever. Dapple and these sheriffs, they won't be able to take that away from me, no matter what they do. Their tear gas won't reach me. Their illegal orders, their blatant laws won't mean nothing to me. Everything else that I've sacrificed or lost, it'll be okay, because what I would have gained in exchange. You can't buy that, you know, no matter what you do. So, I'm getting way behind here again. I'll try to read some of this stuff. Jenna, there's no greater love than this, a man who lays down his life for his friends. You have accomplished this already, my friend. Well done. Good. Does that mean I can go across that river now? Because I'm tired. I'm ready. Casey, I have been through an academy in Wisconsin and Florida, which was a 6-month academy. So it does take a little more than that. The problem is not that cops are people who have mental problems. Where did I leave this? I'm going to give Casey's time here. Oh, it's quite a bit here. Catch up to where Casey says, I'm going to start over here because I had to find this. Casey says, I have been through an academy in Wisconsin and Florida, which was a 6-month academy, so it does take a little bit more than that. The problem is not that cops are people who have mental problems. It saddens me that people make negative statements about a profession that they have never worked in. Believe me, I understand, because I worked as a police officer, and I have seen racist cops, and I have seen arrogant cops, and I have worked with very compassionate and amazing cops. So it's not fair to make a blanket statements about cops that they are all bad. That is no better than some cops making blanket statements about all of us out here there protecting the water. I have been on both sides, and I can speak on both sides, and there are shitheads on both sides, and there are bad people in every race, culture, religion, and so on. We must not put all in the same category. That's very true, and I'm glad I gave Casey's time for that one. Yeah, that's very true. I honestly, though, if you back up and rewatch, I don't think that I said all. I think I did make a comment that the good cops, the ones that actually do sacrifice things and try to help things, that they should be honored and rewarded, and the bad ones should be held accountable. So I think I did it correctly, Casey. I don't think I was trying to make everybody think that all of them are bad. I know all of them aren't bad because I've been directly up on the front line, and I've actually spoken to the cops face to face on the front lines, and I've seen in their eyes, I've seen ones that were there, and their eyes were full of hatred, and their eyes were full of very evil things. But I have also seen others where their eyes were full of shame. Their eyes were full of embarrassment and confusion, like they didn't understand why they were there. So I'm not saying that all of them, even the ones that we've dealt with, I'm not saying all of them are like that. But even the good ones, even the ones that joined the right reasons, again, I question things. You know, what I question is, you know, even if you're an awesome person, you're a wonderful person, you've spent the whole 6 months it takes to become a police officer, and you're out there sacrificing, you're willing to sacrifice yourself, and to help the community and to help people, and that you're doing this for the right thing. Why do you stay quiet when you see an officer that breaks the law? When you see an officer that hurts somebody? Why do you not arrest that officer? I never see that happening. I don't ever see the good cops that took that oath. I don't ever see them stopping a bad cop from abusing somebody or breaking the law or hurting somebody. I don't ever see them turning their weapon on that officer and putting that officer in handcuffs. You know, which is what I believe your oath demands you to do. So I'm not saying that the good ones are not good. I'm just questioning them. Why do you let these bad things go on when it's your job as a police officer to enforce the law and to protect people? Why when it's your fellow officer, you do nothing and you say nothing? It's just a question. I don't mean it derogatory, but these are the things that I question. Let me catch up. Kath, that's why the Ohio cops went home. I think a lot of them left because what they saw up here was nothing like what the Morton County sheriffs and the Bismarck news media made everything sound like up here. I think when they came up here and they saw firsthand, I think they were very, very confused, because I saw that on their faces. I saw that on their faces several times. I remember in an action we were at on Highway 6 when a lot of grandmothers were being arrested. This was back a couple of months ago. I remember that situation because there was men carrying a sniper case up on top of a hill that was overlooking our people, and 3 of us went up there. And we went up there because not to create an issue where, I don't even know how to explain. We didn't go up there to create an issue of making things worse, but we went up there because we knew that the sniper, if we went up there and confronted the sniper, that the sniper would have to move positions, and that they would lose that position of having a sniper pointed at our people. And when the 3 of us went up there, the other officers that saw that, then they sent like 5 more officers up there, because I think they thought we were going to attack them or something like that. So then there was 3 of us facing off with about 8 of them, and we stood there. You know, there was no barriers, there was no barbed wire between us. We stood on top of this hill face to face with them. And when we were there, I was trying to speak to them, and I was trying to reason with them. I was trying to explain to them, what are you doing? Why are you protecting this foreign company's pipeline that is risking going through America's water supply so that this foreign company can sell oil to China? What are you doing? And a couple of the officers, like I said, they just had pure hatred. Like, we don't care. You guys are Native Americans. We don't like you. And there was one officer that I actually was able to speak with where I could tell he was a reasonable person. He wasn't there to hurt anybody. He wasn't there to, I could tell, and I was actually able to have a conversation with that man. I don't even know where I went in this direction here. So now I just lost track of where I was supposed to be at. Hang on here. Anna, they went home because they couldn't take what Morton County was doing after they came home. A couple officers quit after they went. Wow. I didn't know that. If they quit, then that means they saw something really, really wrong somewhere, and they didn't want to be a part of it. So I guess that kind of answers one of my questions when I asked the question about why do the good cops, why don't they turn and arrest those bad cops? Maybe there's a reason why they can't. I don't know. Maybe that's strong enough to where the really, really, truly good ones will refuse to take part of any more of this and they give up that badge and they quit. But they won't stand with that. Maybe that answers that. I don't know. Bernice, you have done a good job protecting the elders, children, and other warriors. Take care, and thank you for the updates. Oh, thank you, Bernice. I appreciate that. Kath, HR 2029. Check it out on Daily Haze. I'm not sure what that is. I know Miko is the main guy on the Daily Haze, and I know he's a good guy, and he's one of the journalists out here that's speaks a lot of the truth, and he's very talented, as far as finding the truth and finding information and stuff. So I'm not sure what that is that Kath is talking about, but if it's on the Daily Haze, I would take time to read it or see what it is. Ruth, yes, when Winston Churchill sent the armed guards in to shoot the coal miners who were striking, some of those miners were 13 years old. The soldiers refused the order and laid their arms down. Heroes as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree, Ruth. Those men that refuse to take an illegal order or men that refuse to take a completely immoral order, that is a hero, because that's a person that is standing for what is right against what is wrong. People that will follow an order regardless, no matter what that order is, no matter not caring, knowing what it is, if it's right or wrong. I don't trust that person, because they don't care about right or wrong. They only care about their orders, and that's a big problem. I think I think humanity becomes lost when the only thing you care about is orders. I think humanity should come first. And they went home because they couldn't take what Morton County was doing after they came home. Oh, I already read that. Miko is with Kevin Gilbert now. Julie, what are you talking about? Did Miko leave the Daily Haze? Kind of going back on this one. Kevin Gilbert. I actually got Miko's phone number, and I think I'm gonna give him a call and find out if he switched over, what's going on there. Casey, I'm very proud of you guys and miss being there with you fighting the good fight. Stay positive and always do the right thing, and you can't go wrong. Thank you. I don't know. I think it's... Oh, Barely says Miko and Kevin are working together. He is still with the Haze. Okay. He hasn't switched. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I didn't get any sleep last night. I do feel better because I was able to take a shower. It's always nice to, when you take a shower, it helps you sleep. It makes you sleep better that night. So I think maybe tonight I'll be able to get some sleep. No, I'm not going to say it. We got something coming up. I think that's all I'm going to say. We got something coming up. I think it's going to be really, really good. And when I say good, I mean good in a very positive way, and good in a very spiritual way. But I'm going to take off because I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I need to get some sleep. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being with me. I appreciate it. You guys sleep well, and have a good night. And it's a new year, so we made it through last year, people. So we made it through last year. We can make it through this year. So good night, people.